for those who love it loud. Pantheon Podcast presents RocknPod Weekend, Nashville, March 17th through the 19th. It's a rock convention featuring panels, interviews, podcasts, signing sessions, vinyl, comic books, pop culture, and collectibles. Over 50 celebrity guests, including members of Mr. Big, Tough, Great White, Keel, Winger, Accept, and Twisted Sister. Live concerts including Rare Hair on Friday, Keel Fest 2 on Saturday, and Eric Martin's Big Acoustic on Sunday. Plus a rockin' comedy show featuring Courtney Cronin-Dold, Don Jameson from That Metal Show, and Craig Gass from The Howard Stern Show, and a whole lot more. Full details at RocknPod.com. RocknPod Weekend is presented by Pantheon Podcasts in association with RFK Media, Third Power Amplification, and BobbyDreyer.com.
Welcome to the Sean Geek and Fast Right podcast.
What is early morning podcast?
We should try to coordinate that. I'd say, welcome to the Sean Geek. And then you say,
Fast Right.
Yeah. Coordination is not going to happen this morning, though. Well, my dog likes to go pee multiple times throughout the evening. She can last 8 hours during the day, but she can't last 8 hours at night. She does most of her sleeping during the day.
The cat's playing with. I've got those. You know, when you buy those chocolates, what are they? What kind are they called now? Lindor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the wrapper.
Oh,
well, he loves the wrapper. So after we're done, we usually just crunch them all up together and make a ball. Then he can play with it. So I've got one wrapper in here, and it's right beside the where the intake comes, or the air blows out. Sorry.
Nice.
So it's moving around. Gets them going in the morning.
Oh, coffee, black gold.
Yeah, this coffee isn't that great because we bought a coffee maker. I think it was a Cuisinart, and it's got a built-in grinder, which is great because there's nothing like freshly ground bean coffee, right?
I just got a grinder, so I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so this is built in. So basically, when you get everything in there, if you have we don't use a timer, but when we get up, we'll just hit the button, and then the grinder will come on, and it sounds like, you know, a jet engine that starts up and wakes up the whole house. So it got to the point where it's like, you know what, because I'll usually get up first, I'll eat, and then I'll go back to bed for half hour and then get up after. So then I go back to bed, she gets up. So if I turn the grinder on before I go back to bed, it wakes her up. So it's like, okay, well, so what she's going to do now is we'll wait till she gets up because I'm already awake.
Yeah.
So when she gets up, and then she'll turn it on, it's fine. At the very beginning, the cat was like, what the hell is that? Now, after using it for months, it's like, nah, he barely flinches now because now he knows it's there. It's kind of like any loud noise for a cat. They freak out, like any little tick, like it's very silent. If you're sitting on the couch, and his ears will perk up. So
not to be confused with the Grinder app.
No. Yeah, buy your coffee maker and it comes with a Grinder app.
Yeah. Oh, look, I'm gonna just activate this on my phone.
Yeah, it's I don't think the coffee maker is Wi-Fi. Mind you, it's weird because when we bought our stove and our fridge, I think it's got Wi-Fi, but what does that mean? Like, does that mean that I can start the oven from work? Does it mean, or just from the couch? Does it give me temperature settings? Oh, you want to go out? No. Okay, hold on. There you go.
Or does it have AI and say, Todd, are you hungry? Would you like
Well,
me to turn on the oven for you?
I don't know. Most appliances have AI. I mean, even I think washers and dryers do. I think it was it send you a thing to your phone to say your dry, your load's done type thing. I mean, which is good because half the time, depending on where your machines are, you may not hear the buzzer or all that stuff that kind of goes on, which is pretty interesting. So it's getting to the point where you could probably pretty much automate your whole house because I mean you can get light systems, you get everything now that'll run off of, and that's probably been around for a while. Just the appliances, because you don't buy appliances every year, maybe every so many years, all of a sudden it's like, oh well, what's this?
Yeah.
And now this is a new feature, just like cars, right? It's
Yep.
got things on there now that they didn't have 10 years ago.
There's no voice act. Well, no, I guess there is voice activation in cars. Like ours has that, but you have to hit the button to voice activate it.
Yeah, well, it's like your phone. You can have it respond to your voice only because then you have to repeat a whole bunch of sentences or something, and then it picks up some algorithm that it takes, and it says, "Okay, yeah, this is the person that's going to activate whatever option that I choose." So it's but the grinder, what's good about the coffee maker is I can either choose to use the grinder or not. So when I turn it on, as long as I hit this other button that says grinder off.
Oh, yeah. So if you
Then
pre-ground some stuff and
Yeah.
it's already in there, then
Yeah. So I got some Kirkland Costco coffee that we bought eons ago before we bought this. And I had that sitting in the cupboard. So because we're having an early morning podcast, I figured I'm not going to turn the grinder off or on and wake the whole house up. So I'll just use the coffee from before. So either because it's not ground coffee fresh or it's been sitting there for a while. Oh yeah, yours is steaming.
yeah, I gotta wait.
It doesn't taste the same at all. So now it's like weird.
And I think to clarify, so you're having Kirkland coffee. I'm having President's Choice coffee. It's not Robin's.
Robin's. Yeah, Robin's probably the better coffee I've ever had.
Oh, it's my favorite. I don't drink it though because like it's hard to get our hands on. And then now we just lost Ronald George Moore as a listener because we're not drinking Robin's coffee with our morning podcast.
Damn.
Sorry, Ronald George Moore.
But there's lots of coffee go around. Boy, you go to the store. I mean, PC has their brand. You've got
that was my segue into your topic that you had on the board there.
Oh, okay. I don't. I was trying to look for my topics, but I didn't get a chance to look them up.
I totally set you up. It was like perfect, like a low-handed pitch.
We'll just
you have 100% ethical sourced coffee was the top of the list on here.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, because I had gone to Costco and it was like, okay, well, we got this coffee maker with a built-in grinder. Let's buy some beans, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kirkland has their pre-ground stuff, or you can buy the beans, and then there's these other brands that they carry. So we figured we look, I don't know, some Himalayan something coffee. It shows a picture of the meadows and all that nice stuff. And then it says ethically. Well, what is ethically? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that the slaves weren't used to pick the beans? Like, what does that mean exactly? Because if you buy anything, it's ethically sourced. Usually, I think is the term they use. But what does that mean? Is it like the blood diamonds? They get slaves in the caves trying to dig out diamonds, and they're paying them like nothing, and they're reaping the benefits of it? Or is this like
the other thing too,
union workers that are picking beans?
So I guess it's really funny too, because ethically sourced coffee, is it going to become a term just like 100% ground beef that was it McDonald's? I can't remember. I think McDonald's, like, they trademarked that 100% beef, but that's the name of the ingredient, 100% beef. But it's not 100% beef. That's just the name of it.
No, that's their copyrighted.
Exactly.
It's a copyrighted thing. It's not. You know,
So-
I'm sure I don't know if anybody's copyright was it organic, 100% organic? Because
Probably.
you'd be like, you know what, I'm going to call the company 100% organic. That's if someone hasn't done it already. And if someone does it now, I want to cut.
All right, so here's what it says. Ethically sourced means products and services from each point of a business's supply chain are obtained in an ethical way, which includes upholding rights, decent working conditions, health and safety, good business ethics, and more. Well, that sounds pretty vague to me.
On the surface, it sounds good, but reality is usually different.
Well,
Sure,
it's
that's
in an
best case
ethical way.
scenario. That's the best case.
Yeah, it says obtained in an ethical way. That sounds very interpretive. Like it can be interpreted many different ways. Because I mean, let's look at it this way. Right, we're talking about work again here, aren't we? So your work, I'm not saying your work, Todd, but I mean the audience, your work may tell you that they are a family-based company with strong family values. But that's it. They're saying that, so that's their definition of what they interpret that to mean. It's not like if something is ethically sourced, for example, does it have to follow specific criteria, generalized criteria, or roundabout criteria?
Well, if it's the company that's saying this, they're obviously going to be flaunting the best of what it is they want to portray. They're not going to say that they test on animals. They're not going to say that, you know, they do all this other stuff that people frown upon. So they're saying, was it family based or whatever it is? Well, okay, that's fine. But what about the other part of the business? Like when you're seeing, like we were talking about drug commercials, and then they've I guess they get to the point where they were sued where you have to really tell them what the side effects are.
Yeah.
So the roundabout way of doing it is putting some fa la la music while they're telling you what the side effects are. So when it comes to these ethically sourced or 100% whatever, who's managing that? Now, is that like the Better Business Bureau? Is there an organic police? Is there ethical police that comes to the company and says, because the company is the one who writes this up. This isn't some third party saying, oh, this company does this and this company does that, unless they're a paid sponsor where they're actually paid to say that, just like internet YouTubers that review things that they get for free, and they'll and a lot of them are honest, and they'll say, you know what, I did get this for free, but this is my honest opinion. Whether it's honest or not, it's one of those things where you have to look at multiple reviews to really
But you're saying honest opinion though, but that's honest opinion it's honest to that person saying it because that's what they believe or that's what they think, right? So you're getting into ethics, I guess. It's like, you know, so if you're Donald Trump, right, for example, and he thinks fair treatment of women is, you know, as he said, touching their coochie or whatever the fuck it was he said, he thinks that's fair treatment of women. So that's, in his opinion, that is fair treatment of women, and he's honest about it. I think that's fair treatment of women. So when he says we always treat women fairly, it's honest from his perspective, but it's not a truth. It's just his opinion. So it's an honest opinion, but it's not a truth.
Well, opinions, it's like the old adage, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. So what you may like, I may not like, and reverse. I mean, there's something for everyone in the world, and not everyone in the world likes what everyone else likes. And they all have different opinions. It's a mishmash. The world is a mishmash of people. I mean, from one extreme to the other. And
is that the official term, mishmash?
Mishmash.
Monster mash.
Yeah. I mean, you just hope that the majority of the people have some common sense and are able to kind of drown out the rest.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the world now is so small because of all these, you get at CNN and Fox and all these news places always searching for news, right? Oh, there's no news. Because if you'll watch something, it'll be, the Murdoch trial or something's going on. Okay, well, that's the new hot thing now. Let's talk about that. And something else will go on. Oh, wait, let's talk about that. And then someone does something in between that doesn't get footage, and they're probably happy as hell because someone higher up the rank of popularity is in the news. So it kind of gets, and then you find out about that later on, because if you're watching Netflix or any of these other places, they're always looking for stories too, right? So they get the stories that were missed in the big news, and then they create their own little series of shows. So people can't really get away with anything, especially if there's a story to be had. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of thought I could turn a left there somewhere, but
A left in Albuquerque.
yeah.
I'm actually going to insert the Albuquerque.
The Albuquerque.
Oh,
just before I hit it.
I don't
think
have
of Bugs Bunny.
I don't have I don't have the sound bites loaded here, but every time you say Albuquerque in episodes now, the clip from Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner.
Yeah, is that copyright? Is that something we can use?
No, but we're using it anyway. Yeah.
Say, I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque.
So that's my rant on coffee.
It
started.
It's there's something you said that sparked something in me, because I've been watching Mr. Robot. Have you seen Mr. Robot?
Is this a Netflix series?
No, it's a Prime one.
Okay. Yeah, everyone has their own things. Apple has one now, Prime.
Yeah, this
Netflix.
This one's won a bunch of awards and was a bit of a comeback for Christian Slater too. And despite the title, you're like, oh, it's some sci-fi. No, it's not at all. It's actually about are you familiar with Anonymous? Like,
yep.
The group that goes online, he wears the Guy Fawkes mask, like from
the white thing with the mustache, and
this is Mr. Robot is that person.
Oh, okay.
So but they've changed it. It's more like clownish, I guess, because they didn't want to, I guess. Okay, this is why I want to talk about this. So in the clips on the show, so Christian Slater is the guy that wears the mask that goes on, sorry.
Right.
And it says he'll come on the air and he's got a distorted voice like this when he's talking. We're going to go after the corporate entities, and your unethical treatment of your employees is going to bite you in the ass. And we shut down all your servers and infected your entire computer system because you do not treat your employees with respect. So we're shutting down your server until you start changing your ways. Like, it's that sort of thing all the time.
So it's like a Robin Hood terrorist.
Yeah. Well, that's what Anonymous is, right? Like,
yeah.
But what? God damn it! I should have this in front of me.
It's a good thing that they're, well, I mean, not a good thing, but I mean, it's nice that they're not going after regular people. That they're going after corrupt, well, according to them, corrupt businesses.
Yep.
And their practices.
Now the main actor in this show is actually not Christian Slater. It's one of those starring and Christian Slater. It's one of those. That's how they always break it out. So he's kind of in the background, but the lead actor in it is the guy that played Freddie Mercury in that Queen biopic.
Right. Well, at least they're being honest and not going Christian Slater, and then you see him, in a 10-second clip within the movie.
But now in movies, when they do the end, it seems to hold more weight for some reason. Like it's not, oh, you're the last person on the credits. It's like we have all these people, and then we also have this big name as well. Like it's kind of treated in a different way.
Kind of like Keycon.
And the Sean Geek Grass Fit podcast. So we want to be an and at Keycon.
Yeah.
So Rami Malek is the lead guy. So anyway, in the show, he works for a security company. You would actually, you guys, yeah, you and Donda would like this show, I think.
Now this is a like a series. Is it a limited series, or does it have multiple seasons?
It's
or
yeah, multiple seasons, but it's done now. Like they finished off.
okay, I like when they're done. That way, I don't have to wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Your Honor, we've been watching that, and it's like, oh, we thought it was over, and there's another season.
It's won a lot of awards. And oh yeah, okay, here we go. The Rotten Tomatoes score.
Mm-hmm.
Season 1 is 98%.
Nice.
Season 2 is 89. Season 3 is 92, and season 4 is 97.
Wow, pretty solid.
So here, I'll read the concept. It's really good. It's I think it's the kind of stuff. There's a lot of crime, like it's about crime and corruption
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And I know you guys kind of steer towards those kinds of shows. So the listing is Mr. Robot is an American drama thriller television series created by Sam Esmail for the USA Network. Stars Rami Malek, a cybersecurity engineer and hacker with social anxiety disorder, clinical depression, and dissociative identity disorder, which is why this actor was taken to do the Queen thing, because to play a character like that, you're obviously an actor if you can pull this shit off. It's very interesting.
I'm very curious to find out how they came up with this psychoanalyst of this person.
Well,
and if this is what the FBI or whatever have done with the actual anonymous to say that this person, this is his profile because of what he's done. Because I mean, they profile everyone, right?
Yeah.
And after a while, they've got a database saying, well, if it's like this or if it's like this, then most likely this person is this, right?
Yep.
I'm just wondering how accurate that is from the actual.
Well, the write up on Wikipedia is actually pretty interesting because Ismail, who created the show, he actually wrote most of the episodes too, which is very unusual. There's only one other show that happened with, and that was Babylon 5, where the creator of the show, J. Michael Straczynski, which is my favorite comic book writer, he actually wrote the majority of the episodes. He was the showrunner, and he also wrote the majority of the episodes. Unlike Joss Whedon with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he was the head guy for that show, but he only wrote like 2 or 3 episodes a season, sort of thing.
Yeah. Big Bang Theory brought up that show, Babylon 5. I can't remember now really? if it was a good comment or a bad comment, but they had mentioned that in there.
You know what? Knowing that show, it's got to be a good comment that they made. It is one of the most perfect series ever written. So this the writer of that show also wrote 5 years of Spider-Man, which was probably some of the best Spider-Man ever written, and probably some of the worst Spider-Man ever written, because he was also forced into a corner. We talked about this before, but he was forced into a corner, and Marvel said, hey, really like what you're doing with Peter Parker and Mary Jane and all that stuff, but we need you to insert this into the story. And he's like, I don't know how to make that work. Well, just make it work.
This was Babylon 5?
No. That did not happen with Babylon 5. It happened with Spider-Man. So when you did Spider-Man, there's moments like the worst moments in Spider-Man history happened to be on his run, but they were all editor-in-chief driven. You need to do this. Like, for example,
Jameson wrote it. J. Jonah Jameson.
Maybe
it's bad editorial.
Joe Quesada, who was running Marvel, is actually J. Jonah Jameson. You know what? That actually tracks. But anyway, back to this Mr. Robot show. So he actually knows what he's talking about here. So anyways, he joins. Elliot is recruited by an insurrectional anarchist known as Mr. Robot, played by Christian Slater, to join a group of hacktivists. That's what Anonymous is.
Right.
F Society. The group aims to destroy all debt records by encrypting the financial data of E Corp, the largest conglomerate in the world. And boy, let me tell you, E Corp might, at the time that this was done, might be Microsoft, but it might also be Apple.
Okay, so it's kind of referencing real life. Yeah.
It's such a social
But
commentary.
not directly.
It's such a social commentary of corporations, the evils they perpetrate, and the shit they get away with, and how like they continuously, like I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in, but continuously there's commercials for E Corp throughout the show. So they've actually written commercials within the show for E Corp, the evil corporation.
Right.
They're not called the evil corporation. That's what everyone in the world calls them because they're called E Corp. But it's all commercials like, we do the best we can. I should actually play.
I'm just wondering the writers for this show.
Writer.
Like, is the information taken? Because a lot of people are pretty much raised on TV, and whatever they see on TV, a lot of people think that this is real. So when this show comes out and they're portraying the companies as being evil because of X, Y, and Z, is this research that he did to say that, you know, at the beginning of the movie, it says it's based on real life events or life story, or is this like totally 100% fictional?
Oh, well, it's based on real events, but they would never be allowed to say that it is, right?
Yeah, because imagine Microsoft and Apple are probably watching the movie going, "Oh shit,
Well,
we either got found out, or it's like that's a bunch."
Well,
of
that's
crap.
the thing. Like, that's when I'm watching this, I'm going, someone must have tried to block this show at some point.
Well, unless I didn't know until actually after it started.
Well, this
was
show,
like,
this
why did it stop all of a sudden abruptly? And
this show won a lot of awards too, so it kind of puts it in a weird situation. Like, oh, you're obviously talking about Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whoever. But anyway, here's a trailer. So not a trailer. Here's a commercial within the show.
Okay.
That plays in the background. Make sure.
Stock crashes, 10 billion. Sound issues drop.
Hopefully this is the right one.
10 to 50 points. Wow.
In periodi di caos e incertezza, quando il mondo sembra instabile, ci rivolgiamo a chi ci ha sostenuto fin dall'inizio. Dal 1884 proteggiamo l'America.
How did you get an Italian version?
Don't know.
On YouTube? Wow. It's weird when I get commercials hearing up different languages.
Disaster strike. We react. Emergencies occur. We respond. Markets collapse. We recover. Setbacks emerge. We rebuild. In the wake of 5/9, eCorp wants you to rest assured, secure in the knowledge that the future is safe with us. That is our promise to you. We are eCorp, still on your side.
So they took 9/11 and changed it with 5/11 or 11/5 after this particular date.
Well, there's something that occurred in the show. I don't want to give away too much, but there's an incident that occurred in the show that
probably pretty much changed the world, right?
That changed the world, yeah. And it ties into some of the characters, and I guess it's not a 9/11 incident exactly. Like it's an
incident, but not that. It's just something.
But it's still an incident like that had global significance, sort of thing.
Some financial thing, probably.
No.
Okay.
I can't say it because it's going to actually spoil.
Okay. Well, I'm not even going to guess then because we'll have to watch it.
But anyway, so it really goes into hacker culture, how things work, how hacking works, how people get your passwords, how people behind the scenes.
It's a teaching tool.
Fuck yeah. Well, no,
like YouTube, where they show you how to break the law. It's like, why would you tell someone how to do this?
It's more like, this is what someone's going to do to you if you give away your password. Here's what if someone's calling you and asking you for secure information, this is what they're going to do with this information. It's basically more an educational. Don't fucking give your shit away. Don't.
Well, that's
somebody
good.
It's educational in that way.
Right. Okay.
You're seeing somebody use their hacking skills, this main character, to right some wrong. So he does a little bit of Robin Hood shit.
Mm-hmm.
He sees someone, being cheated on.
So it's a feel good type of show in that respect.
In that respect,
where it's like give it to the man or whatever, however you want to call it.
But you're seeing his skill set. You're seeing his Robin Hood complex, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, I'm only a few episodes in, so. But the way they introduce his skill set, who he is, how he functions with all his disorders and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How he functions without, I think he's functioning without medication. Then he's also speaking to his shrink all the time. So you're seeing that aspect, how he associates at work with other people, because he's got social anxiety and social anxiety, depression, and dissociative identity disorder.
So are they using this as a negative point to say, okay, well, we're going to show how screwed up he is, so this is what he does? Or are they taking the anxiety thing and saying, no, this is a real issue that should be looked at?
It looks more like, I think it's being treated. So far, it feels respectfully treated.
Okay. That's good.
This show is very aware of what it's doing so far. I mean, it's socially aware. It's a mental health. It's very aware on that front. I mean, they could have used any other character. They could have used a Tom Cruise standard, typical character to play this role. They could have gone with a Ryan Reynolds type character, but no. Instead, they actually tried to take a very complex character and show how that person with those quote unquote disabilities is able to use those disabilities to their advantage. Because I think a lot of what he's able to do is because of the disorders that he has, and use them as strengths in order to do what he does. So I don't know. It's the writing is ridiculously good, but it's also, I kept watching this and I kept being afraid that Anonymous was watching me watching it.
Well, that's the thing.
And then I was wondering, is Anonymous watching this show and going, you fuckers, or well done? Because it's not really portraying, in some ways, it's not really portraying like the F Society is Anonymous. They're called F Society.
Well, there's Big Brother that probably, I mean, or I want to call them Facebook, because every time you talk about one particular thing and all of a sudden there's an advertisement for it, like, where did this come from, just out of the blue? And it hasn't just happened to me, it's happened to multiple people. So does that mean Anonymous is like, okay, well, because we've said that word so many times, so now there's an algorithm where he's done a search throughout the whole world saying, oh, how many times has someone said this word? And then focuses on that and goes, oh, look, it's the Sean Geek and the Fast Fred podcast, they've said my name multiple times in their series, so let's take a closer look. And then they'll go into Sean's router, and then he'll go, well, what's Sean watching? Well, he's watching this show.
He's an insurrectionist or whatever. I don't know. So it's very interesting, because there was also another show I mentioned to you before called Halt and Catch Fire, which that's a true story, that one.
Yeah, that one I don't recall hearing about that one.
No, it's about the whole IBM. Is it IBM?
Are they still around?
I think so, but I think this show shows when they lost their traction, because IBM basically wanted to copyright computer in a way. So they were basically saying, hey, no one else can make computers. And this show about how people got around that, and that anybody could make computers. And
kind of like VHS, they said, screw you, we'll make our own.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's a really good show. It's, again, that this one's based on real life, and it's the starting of .com companies, and it talks about the revolution of Silicon Valley, like how Silicon Valley came into being and all that stuff. And it's really good. Like but it's about true crime, but it's like white collar crime. It's
Right.
about a lot of that stuff.
I'm just wondering what this .com crash, like what was this .com crash? I'm gonna have to look into that, because I mean, they had all these companies start up and then they all kind of failed, but why did they fail? Like what happened?
Watch Halt and Catch Fire. You'll get a lot of inside scoop on that stuff.
Hulk and Catch Fire.
Not Hulk. Halt. Stop.
Oh, halt.
Halt. and
Halt.
Catch Fire.
Or I'll say halt again. It's like the bobbies in what was it? That joke where they don't carry weapons, so it's a halt, or I'll say halt again.
Stop, or I'll say stop again.
The go for the hole.
The go for hole.
The go for the hole.
Look in there. Look in there.
Look in the hole. Look in the hole. They say it's a stroke. It's a fucking stroke. You're damn right, a fucking stroke.
And how they could invent a sport like golf. Here's my idea for a fucking sport. I knock a ball in a gopher hole. Oh, you mean like pool? Fuck off, pool! Not with a straight stick, with a little fucked up stick. I whack the ball that goes in a gopher hole. Oh, you mean like croquet? Fuck croquet! I put the hole hundreds of yards away! Oh, fuck out, yeah! It's great fun there! Oh, yeah, that's a great thing. Oh, like a bowling thing. Fuck no! Not straight, I put shit in the way. Like trees and bushes and high grass, so you can lose your fucking ball and go whacking away with a fucking tire iron. Whacking away, and each time you miss, you feel like you're gonna have a stroke. Fuck, that's what we'll call it. A stroke, because every time you miss, you feel like you're gonna fucking die. Oh, great. Oh, and here's a bit of part. Oh, fuck, this is brilliant. Right near the end, I'll put a flat piece with a little flag to give you fucking hope. But then I'll put a pool and a sandbox to fuck with your ball again. Ah, you'll be there trashing your ass, jerking away in the sand. Oh, and you do this one time. Fuck no! 18 fucking times!
Oh God. Yeah. I went down. Do you remember we were talking about we had Jared on? We were talking about Stephen Wright.
Yes.
So when I was editing that episode, I put in some sounds, a Stephen Wright sound clip in there. So just so people understand how editing on a podcast works, or on our podcast works, when we make a reference in an episode, what I do is I pause the episode while I'm editing, and I pause the
insert sound here,
and I go down a rabbit hole to try to find a clip to insert. So I watched a 58-minute Stephen Wright comedy special. I watched and I watched like 10 other bits, like 10 other Stephen Wright, like just because comedians, like if they're on Johnny Carson or something, they've got like 3 or 4 minutes, to do a routine, right?
The YouTube rabbit hole.
Yeah, so I watched a whole bunch of Stephen Wright, and I created a whole bunch of sound clips. So I'm going to insert one right here. You can't hear it, but I'll put one right here.
Whenever I think about the past, it just brings back so many memories.
Yeah, talks about limbo. Was it limbo dancing? Says someone was really good, could limbo under a carpet.
And then we saw a sign, next mile, 1 mile.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he's genius. So I was like, kind of forgot he doesn't really get, you talk about the great comics of all time, Carlin and Rob Williams and Whoopi Goldberg and
well, they're all in your face.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, pay attention to me. I'm in your face. Where Stephen Wright is kind of, he's funny, but he's kind of like, he's like in the back of the room during a party and he's just kind of mumbling to himself. That's kind of his, he's not right in your face, but he's funny as hell.
And that was his, he was it was stage fright, right? So his whole approach to stand up was always because he was anxious up there. He was like super nervous. So he came off being monotone, but it wasn't monotone. He was like petrified fear, like. But
Yeah,
it
well, you work that in your act too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real feelings.
Nothing more than feelings.
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes. So I still have this ethically sourced open in front of me here. So there's a whole other side of this. So there's ethically sourced products versus fair trade, organic, and cruelty free.
There you go.
So
can you be all three?
Well, fair trade, organic, and cruelty free is one category, according to this article, and ethically sourced is a different category.
It's just like women's training. You get your explosives, you get your flammable, you get your oxidations, you get your
Okay, so here we go. So ethically sourced is not a coined label with a standard legal definition.
Yeah.
No official institution approving its use in consumer marketing, because ethical sourcing is not a term from an institution with a specific set of standards. Because of that, it can encompass a wide range of ethical considerations. So ethically sourced, it might be in the company's best intentions, and they're being ethical in their best intentions, but it is not. It is a global term that is not specific.
Now, can you say that the Sean Geek and Fast Fred podcast is ethically sourced? Can you also not say that we are also, when you buy fries, well,
we're not ground.
When you buy fries and it says that they're, what was it, free? Cholesterol free or something free.
Oh yeah.
Which they never, I don't think they ever had any to begin with, but they just kind of say it. So I guess anybody could say anything pretty much that kind of applies to them.
That's right.
Yeah. And because it's not legally binding, who's going to know and who's going to care?
Yeah.
And so you can pump yourself up really, really, really good.
So fair trade here. I feel like we're living through extinction right now, kind of saying facts and stuff. But anyway, fair trade is a global certification system of farmers and workers used in almost 80 countries. Companies can receive the fair trade certification for their product when they meet the fair trade social, economic, and environmental standards for the production and supply of the product. When a product has met the standard and received the fair trade certification, the fair trade label will appear on their product's packaging. So you're not allowed to put it on unless you're. So if it's ethically sourced, you can just say it. But if it's fair trade and it's got this fair trade symbol, you have to pass a standard to get that.
Is this like car companies that say we're number one as per the Motor Trend or whatever? I don't even know if that's a real thing or if that's just the company saying, oh, that's part of our company and that's kind of our trademark, but we're making ourselves look number one. So everyone has their own kind of little shtick saying we don't put body parts in our food, or we don't, not that it did have, but we're just telling you, just so you know.
Rush is the best Canadian band.
That is true.
As decided by Sean and Todd.
Yeah, according to us. Yeah,
according to us. So it's true for us.
For us, yes.
And then there's cruelty free is most widely used by cosmetic companies to say that the product and product ingredients were not tested on animals when being manufactured. It does not necessarily mean that the product is vegan, which refers to whether there are ingredients from animals in the product. In many countries like the United States, there is no standard legal definition of cruelty-free and no institution approving its use in consumer marketing. In the European Union, selling products that have been tested on animals or that have ingredients that were tested on animals was banned in 2013, making the label cruelty-free redundant and unnecessary.
Well, if you're using it on animals versus having parts of animals, that's two different things altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting though?
It's still
The European Union said you can't fucking do that. Stop it. And the company's like, okay. But in the States, the companies would be like, fuck you. America. You know, like they would,
and then they move their company to Europe. or the other way around.
or the other way around.
Yeah, the European company would come here and says, well, we can't do it, home, so we're going to do it here because your laws are different. It's just the same as the labor market. Why are they making it here instead of in this other place? Well, there's less restrictions here. Oh, how about all these mining farms for Bitcoin? Oh, let's find the place that has the cheapest electricity and has the loosest, laws and stuff. So you can have some factory out in the middle of the desert somewhere, and all their neighbors that are there, all I just hear is a big wind with all the machinery and drives and fans and stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff like that too. I've noticed, because I've traveled to Europe, is that the food tastes better, but there's a lot different rules for food over in Europe. Like there's things you just don't have in Europe because they're bad.
Well, cheese, I think, is a big thing, isn't it?
Cheese is huge there, and cheese tastes way different out there. They don't like, there's the whole pasteurization thing, which is a North American thing, not a European thing. But the European Union and how they treat food and the rules and regulations of food are a lot different than over here. So this is interesting, because now we're getting into F Society or Anonymous again. Because if you think about it, in the USA, there's the rah rah USA movement all the time. Like you see it in movies like Independence Day and Armageddon, and thank God we had the United States, otherwise we wouldn't have survived. Like it's always America, fuck yeah. They always have that going on in their films and stuff. And then there's always the rah rah USA part of that movement is also the made in USA. It's like, thank God I'm never buying foreign, or I'm never buying, I'm buying 100% USA because we need to support our economy. And it always has these interesting spins to it that, you should support your local economy. You shouldn't support other economies in the rest of the world. But then you have the European Union that is regulating stuff like cruelty free and saying, like, we don't use cruelty free here because it's illegal to be cruel. Like, you can't do that. So we don't use cruelty free because we see this happening and then we just ban it. We see this happening, we just ban it. So now I don't know if this is in all cases, but just using the cruelty free example, is they're making sure that if things are wrong, the European jumps in, they stop it. It's illegal to do it that way. You're going to put a bunch of toxins in the water. No, you can't do that. Stop it. Okay. And then they stop it. Like in the USA, the corporations run the government, right?
Well, North America, it's all about money, right?
It's all about money. Yeah.
Hush money. Yeah. All this pollution and all this other, we'll just throw more money at it. And the Canadian version is like, well, let's tax. Let's do a carbon tax. Let's do carbon tax for what? Where's the money going?
Where's the money going?
Is it going to a carbon fund? Like, sure, you're raising, nothing has changed. Like, we're still using the same amount of X, Y, Z. You're just wanting to charge us more. Where the fuck is the money going? What are you doing with it?
Different versions of the same principle. We're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to look like we're doing something about it and tell you we're doing something about it, but we're not going to show you how we're doing something about it.
No, we're just going to be vague. We're just going to be vague. That's a government. Yeah.
But I mean, all political parties get to
doesn't matter where you are.
Like, especially in the States, like all political parties get to power by contributions, right? So you have
lobbyists,
you have this $4 billion a year company donating money to a political campaign so they get elected. So it's not who is the best person that gets elected to governor or president or whatever. It's who has the most money and the most financial backers. So it's not based on anything but money, right? So in the States, corporations control, like there's no European Union in the United States to make sure that things are done properly. The corporations do what they want. The government pushes against them, right? When it gets really bad, the government says, hey, you guys got to stop doing this. And they're like, okay, well, you're not gonna make it to next term. We're gonna stop donating. You made promises to us that you would turn the other cheek when looking at us. We got you elected, so you're either going to ignore what's happening at our company, or we'll just we'll pay for someone else to be in power, you know.
Yeah. Or we'll smooth it over and try and do the least amount possible to cause the less amount of ripples with the massive amount of damage that we've caused, because who else is going to go after us?
And we also own the news
agency, government,
so we can also help spin it that way too. So we'll smooth things just a little bit, and we'll also control the media. So
we'll bury
it looks like we're doing a huge job here to clean ourselves up, but it's the most minimal effort.
Yeah, I think it's just mostly public opinion. I mean, if a big thing happens, like say the Juan Valdez or whatever, the big spill, I mean, I don't know how much, like if they actually did a research, like actual research, and say, what did this affect and how much of it did it cause damage versus, you know, like the reality of it versus what they're reporting. But you never know. I mean, it's all up in the air. It's whatever information you're being fed. It's just like a conversation you and I are having. Whatever people are hearing us say, they can yay or nay it. I mean, we could have every fact known to man thrown in there, and they may believe whatever it is. If we're trying to peddle something to steer someone wrong, it's whatever information we're given. It's up to you to really look into what this actually means. And if you wanted to go to the extreme of going to report it, you pretty much have to start your own Netflix series. But then it would get out.
Yeah.
And filmmakers, and I don't know now, I mean, we'd have to talk to Mr. Petro maybe, but
hello, listener. I'm Michael Petro.
I'm not too sure. As time goes on, it's like podcasting. I mean, it starts off with a phone, you get a mixer, and then they've got these standalone systems. I mean, now you can film a whole series on an iPhone. I mean, the lighting, like everything about the lenses and the way that these cameras work nowadays, whether, whatever company, they're getting to the point where you could actually film your own series, like literally, because they're so good. You don't have to have these huge.
And it's happened too. Like there's movies that have been entirely shot on an iPhone, or
And how many people have actually gone forward and said, I've got all this footage and I put it together with, available, editing software, video software that you can do, and you can create your own movies, and then you can get it sponsored or how many people have done that?
Well, did Roger Boyer, didn't he, one of the ones he didn't he do it off of a phone? I'm trying to remember now.
So you can become your own reporter, really. And
well,
just like the internet.
There's internet news companies, right? Like they're not affiliated or associated. That's why there's so much internet news, which is why we get fake headlines and shit, right?
That's where, because when it gets to the point where it's so easy to do, anybody can do it. So whether you're straight and narrow and you want to report something legitimate, or you're just totally whacked off, a whack job trying to make a name for yourself, no matter what the cost, and filling with all this disinformation, there's that also.
And that wraps up another episode of the Sean Geek and Fast Fret podcast. I am your host, Sean McGinnity, the Sean Geek. That is me. Thank you for tuning in this week. Thank you for tuning in every week. We love our listeners. You can message us on all social medias at Sean Geek Podcast. Whichever social media you prefer, we're on all of them. And you can also follow our podcast directly on seanmcginnity.ca. All of our episodes are listed there. And you can also go to our TeePublic store. Just look up Sean Geek Podcast yet again. Like I said, Sean Geek Podcast everywhere. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next week. Hey gang, Sean Geek here.
And Fast Fret.
And we have 2 storefronts. If you are a TeePublic fan, you can browse our inventory over at TeePublic, which is teepublic.com/Sean Geek Podcast.
Or redbubble.com/people/Sean Geek Podcast.
You can get anything from either storefront, from t-shirts, stickers, phone cases, accessories of all kinds. We're talking masks, notebooks, mugs, pillows, totes, tapestries.
Oh my.
Everything's there. Just go to those addresses. Also check the show notes and help support the show. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.